Hello. So, first off, I think that UDH, your term, seems relatively appropriate. And we're going to start with Noonan and his thoughts. Noonan says that conception is the point where a UDH has value. This is because of UDH's ability to become potentially autonomous. As you mentioned, this sort of unspoken reference that Noonan draws to Kant's principles of autonomy and later the ideas of the categorical imperative. Noonan uses these principles to say that certain situations would further warrant an abortion. Then again, speaking in reference to the categorical imperative, a person must follow the universalized rules. Noonan says that after conception occurs, then the only reasonable abortion would occur in order to save the mother's life. Otherwise, abortions are selfish. I personally agree with that statement and found throughout my Rate That Abortion worksheet that was justified. So, for example, the woman acknowledges that the pregnancy was planned by herself and her boyfriend, changes her mind, boyfriend wants to keep it. I ranked that as a 5, that it's not justified for abortion. The pregnancy is a result of contraceptive failure. I also ranked that as a 5. Having a baby at this time would seriously jeopardize the woman's career goals, but the couple did not use any form of contraception. Ranked that as a 5 again. And no contraception was used because neither the young woman nor her boyfriend planned in advance to go all the way. I also ranked that as a 5 of agreeing just in reference to Noonan's ideas of not being able to justify abortion for large amounts of accounts. On the opposite spectrum, we have Thomson. She makes a lot of arguments by analogy. So I'm going to start with the violinist argument, and it sheds light on the idea of conception due to rape. So every human has right to life, or that's just what we're going to go with, that she doesn't necessarily believe that a UDH is a human yet, but regardless, just to go forward with the argument. Theoretically speaking, humans aren't required to ensure that every human is alive. However, since the host, mother, of the UDH did not agree that the host has a right to the abortion, that's debatable. She goes on further to clarify between unjust versus indecent. So we're going to go even further with the violinist and say that if the violinists were only required to remain hooked up to the person while they were sleeping for 1 hour instead of for 9 months to remain alive, then denying the violinist's life because of this situation is indecent, but it's still not unjust, according to Thomson. I disagree with the not unjust aspect. We're just going to go with the fact that it's unjust to knowingly warrant a person to die. This is reference to the Rate That Abortion worksheet. The woman claims that the pregnancy was a result of rape, but the acknowledged father claims that she agreed to becoming pregnant and he wants to take the child to raise for himself. I originally ranked this as a 5 on the least justifiable. Yes, consent is important. In both circumstances, a human wants to live or wants a UDH to live. Therefore, there is a way to spare life, regardless of how unideal this circumstance may be. Another argument by analogy that Thomson uses is a mother's life is in danger. So she gives the expanding baby analogy where the mother, I guess, would be in a house and there is a large inflatable baby that would eventually crush and kill her. Logically speaking, the UDH has a greater chance of survival or relatively healthy lifestyle if the mother is in good health. For example, an ectopic pregnancy, which is one of the rank that abortion, has a low statistical chance of delivering full term without life-threatening issues to both the mother and the child. I rank that as a 1 as the most justifiable reason for abortion. It just logically makes sense that if the mother is potentially in a life-threatening situation, then her life as being a developed human should take precedent. I don't agree with a lot of Thomson's ideas, but I do agree with her on this one. Rationally, however tragic, the UDH should be aborted. I originally ranked this as a 1 on the list of importance to terminate. My final thoughts are that I agree personally more with Noonan and his thoughts and ideas. I agree with the point of conception being a human. My final thoughts on Thomson: arguments by analogy are enlightening. While she has some valid points and rational arguments, occasionally using arguments by analogy make us lack developed human virtues such as compassion. Thank you for your time.